Hey, Jasmine here, and welcome to another book review. Today I'm hopefully putting out two videos. Hopefully the second one comes out later today, but it'll be tomorrow at the latest. Because I fell behind on my reading schedule, but I should be caught up soon. First, this video is about Back from the Dead by Andres Terry. First, as always, I'm going to read the book description. Hapless Bertie Haig has no idea who the bloke in the bed next to him is, and how the hell he got here, or why he's dead. But when his nosy downstairs neighbor claims that his flat is the source of a leak in the bathroom, and insists on sending up her plumber to check things out, he's thrust into a world where nothing is as it seems. Turns out, in Bertie's corner of the world, the Scottish city of Stratford, everyone has something to hide. And when their past catches up with them, they'll do anything to fight back, no matter how much collateral damage they leave in their wake. As the war between life and death spills out in the streets, the people of Stratford must navigate a world where violence is all too often the answer, and those who are supposed to protect you are the ones who hurt you most. Okay, now that you know the book description, whether from me reading it or reading it yourself, throw it all away. Erase it from your mind. It doesn't matter, and I'm going to explain why. First, I want to mention what I thought the book would be about based on the description. A man, Bertie, wakes up with a dead man in his bed next to him, and no recollection of how he got there, and is thrust into a rival gang war. From this, I expected that the story would follow Bertie as he tries to figure out what happened, gets caught up in the middle of something that he has nothing to do with, and inevitably has to figure out how to get himself out of the fire. Maybe he'll meet some people who are a part of it and find some clues to help him get answers. Maybe he'll uncover things even the people involved know nothing about. Tell me if that's what you think the plot description means. Well, it's not. The plot description is a very minuscule part of the story. If anything, it's a hook before the book takes a complete detour into the real story. I think the best way to explain this is with the characters. Bertie is not the main character. He is the civilian caught in a bad situation. But if you're expecting him to uncover what happened, he won't. Because the book goes into a here's how I got here narrative, but tells a story that Bertie really knows nothing about and never learns on his own. Basically, I think if the book erased the waking up with a dead body plotline, which is really no more than 5% of the book, it would be perfect. The real main characters are Al and Chris, and I want to tell you about them because these are the characters you will spend most of your time with if you choose to read this book. First to be introduced is Al, who works for a drug gang called The Company. This gang has been in an ongoing war with a rival gang called the Red Hand. Al is loyal to his leaders, but when his mom borrows money from someone in the Red Hand, Al finds himself in a bad situation. He can either leave his mom at their mercy or risk being marked a traitor by the company by paying off her debt. This is what I think should have been the real plot description. When Al was first introduced, I thought he would be a brief detour that leads back to Bertie. But Bertie was hardly in the story after that. Al is what you would expect someone who works in a drug gang but isn't a leader to be like. He's someone who clearly just wants to live comfortably, but also has a short temper that is entirely connected to his own ego. The second main character is Chris, a detective who's been hard at work trying to take down organized crime. Chris finds herself caught between her commitment to her job and the one to her husband and son at home. She is the second character who the story follows more. Chris is career-driven, someone who will spend many sleepless nights working to get the job done. That being said, I love this book. I was invested in their stories. The story format felt a lot like a show with brief detours into their lives, and I would talk about them, but I feel like I would be giving too much away. The thing is, when I got really into the story, I actually forgot about Bertie. There are brief chapters that cut back to what he was doing during the events of the story, most as he deals with things like a lazy boss and a pushy neighbor. I did think briefly that his work would be the cause of his connection to the rest of the story. Maybe he uncovers some shady business deal from his company without even realizing it. Something to actually get him in the crosshairs, but really these chapters didn't have much to do with the story. In those shortcuts, I wanted to skim these pages to get back to Al and Chris, whoever's turn it was to follow. The good thing is that the scenes with Bertie were still well written. I just didn't understand their purpose. Warning, because I know from reading the reviews for this book that some people are bothered by these things. There is profanity. I didn't notice it much, but I might just be used to it from watching shows and movies with similar themes. There was one chapter that, and all I'll say is that, so I don't spoil anything, is it involved a man being beaten, and that chapter was a shock with the detail. It's funny to say that because I've watched violent movies, John Wick, Deadpool, some of the Quentin Tarantino movies, but oddly enough, I don't think I've ever read anything with extreme violence in it, and something different about reading it versus seeing it somehow. The true story is the gang war and the people involved in it, or more accurately, pulled into it, because none of the main characters are leaders in these two gangs, just people with ties to them. Truthfully, it's when the story returns to Bertie in the present that it felt a little thrown together. I wasn't sure if the explanation made sense in line with the story, but it is over 400 pages, so honestly, it could just be that the information I was missing was at the very beginning and I had forgotten it. Luckily, as I said, the story could have easily existed without Bertie's plotline, which is why I still ended up loving this book. My rating for this book is 4 stars because I loved it, but I just can't give 5 stars to it personally because the Bertie plotline just threw me off in the end, and I found myself less interested when I reached it. But this is a book I can see myself reading again someday. I think another book focusing on Al would be great. Not because he was a character I ended up loving, but because I was invested in his story and noticed he had potential for an interesting book outside the gang life, although perhaps not too far off the drug route. Well, the next book I'm reading that I'm trying really hard to finish so I can make this video as soon as possible is The Wilder Woman by Ruth M.E. Lane, so look for that video if you're interested in learning about it. If you're an indie author, comment down below with some information about your book and I'll check it out. Probably add it to my TBR list in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!